So today I'm going to be doing an unscripted review of the Legend of Zelda Game & Watch. I just felt like putting my 2 cents in the opinion pool, but I'm not going to be messing with the box. I already have the device out already. I've been, using it for the past 2 or so weeks, and gotta say, it's got a very nice build quality. Plastic on the back. It feels nice. Got a nice front metal faceplate, which feels very nice to pick up when it's cool. Buttons, the face buttons they are rubber or rubberized. I'm not entirely sure. And the D-pad is fine. It's better than the Switch Pro controller, which has a very D-pad, and it's also better than the 2DS D-pad, which I'm not a big fan of. But I wouldn't say it's as good as, the DS D-pad, or especially the Nintendo 3DS D-pad, which I quite enjoy. Feels very good. Nice and clicky. But overall, very, very solid controls. Look to the sides, you've got USB Type-C. Very good to see after Nintendo's charging situation with their previous handhelds. Nice little power button. On the other side, you've got a speaker, which is apparently the Switch speaker from the teardowns I've watched. And you've also got a Joy-Con battery in here, which is kind of funny, but it works well. I'm not complaining. It's probably a good way to save money. So, as I said, I think I've been using this for the past 2 weeks, so powered on, you don't get to see the screen, unless you've already seen other reviews. You've got cute little clock face. You can make that happen for some reason by pressing A and B. Link runs around and defeats monsters and travels through Hyrule and eventually defeats Ganon. You can take control of him, have him be killed quicker, if you suck like I do. Or you can just do that every now and again to keep yourself interested. And also, while we're on the clock face, hold down the A button. I don't know if you could hear that, but you could get the sound on, or you can get the in-game music instead of just some very nice little ticks. And you can not only can you hear the Switch speaker working, you can feel it too. It rumbles the entire system. Not only does that rumble the entire system, but I'm not sure if this is just something with my unit in particular, but if you shake it, you can kind of hear something rattling around in there. I'm not sure what. Not only do I not have the tools to open this up, I don't trust myself to open it up. It's got like tri-wing screws or something. It's really hard to focus on with this camera. And I guess while we're on the back and the front screen, it's good. Get nice up and close. It looks like this because of how cameras on screens work. They get that weird line rainbow effect. And also, the speaker probably didn't sound as good through my microphone. It sounds a lot better in person. But also, the screen gets ridiculously bright. You can tell it's like darkening the entire scene around it, but you got cool little Triforce in the back. You've probably seen it. I personally like to keep the light or the screen brightness on 5 or below. Feels better on my eyes, and also really helps with battery life. I haven't charged this thing in like 2 or 3 days. Still going. Granted, I haven't used it as much as I have, because I'll get to that in a bit. But in the times I have used it, it's been there, and it works pretty good. So you see these buttons, you know what they do. Go over to game, you got the game library. Starting from the bottom, timer. It's exactly what it sounds like. You got a timer, you can play it, you can have Link run around and defeat monsters. Yeah, it's basically like a time attack for however long, where you can hold the A button, and you get a secret mode where you have to defeat 21 enemies in a specific amount of time. I've only done it once because I'm not that interested. You've also got Vermin. Very fun game, highly underrated. You've got Game A, Game B, and Game C if you hold down the A button for 5 seconds while in a game. Very fun. Very, very fun to play on buses. And with these controls and this sort of button layout, it works very nice. I quite like using the D-pad for moving to the left and the A button for moving to the right. It just feels very good. But of course, the average person isn't going to care about these two. They're here for the headlining acts. Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and Zelda 3. I made sure to play these games to 100% completion, except for Link's Awakening with the Marin picture, because I don't really care about that. 100% basically, to make sure that they play and run good. And they do. This little device is fairly capable. There's the expected sprite flickering, which is just a limitation of the hardware that these games are on. But I did notice slowdown in specific areas with lots of sprites on screen, and I'm not sure if that's because of poor emulation, the hardware that this is running on, or if it's how the original games ran, because I'm not too familiar with how any of these games on original hardware. But they run fine, or I guess not fine enough, but they run... sounds like a bad thing. They run well. They run well for such a tiny little device that's meant to be a collector's thing, basically. They run good. Now, I do have... Personally, I only have one complaint with the game library. And I'm going to preface this by showing that not only do you have the NES versions of Zelda 1 and 2, but you also have the Famicom versions, which, while not super different, are different enough to warrant a playthrough, just to see what's different about them. But we have the original Link's Awakening, if you played on the Game Boy back in the day, the puke green version, if you will, or the black and white version. And I'm fine with that for historical reasons. As far as I'm aware, this specific version of Link's Awakening hasn't been re-released. Or if it has, it was just for a short period of time. It's not readily available. Or it wasn't until this. But there's no Link's Awakening DX, which is a shame. Because I think, like having the Famicom versions, it would have been nice to have the DX version, should you scroll over to the other side. For, once again, a collector's device that's more so about having some historicalness to it, it's nice to have the original Link's Awakening. I'm okay with it. Minor complaint. I forgot to mention it too. Not only do you have the Famicom versions of Zelda 1 and 2, but you also have the updated ROMs from, I think, the Master Collection on GameCube. I'm not entirely sure. But it has updated text, and Zelda 2 in particular has no more flashing screen when you die, which is a godsend. And this is probably a bit early to say it, but I think this is the best official way to play these games right now. Because I'm going to bring out the 3DS. This is a good way to play, you know, the games on here. And not including the price of the 3DS, it's technically cheaper. And this is an investment. But the 3DS controls don't feel that good for specifically Zelda 1 and 2. Because you're either having lopsided hands using the D-pad and either X or Y or B and A to do whatever. But if you're using the circle pad, then you have weird non-precision movement, because it's a circle pad meant for 3D movement trying to, you know, work with 2D games, and it just doesn't feel as good. Granted, this has save states, and for some people that's really, really important. But for me, this has active save states, I would call them. What I mean by that is you can actively save your, like, a single point in time in the game and go back to it whenever you want. This doesn't have that. It has soft save states. You can, you know, boot up a game of Zelda 2, run around, do what have you, maybe get bored, go to the clock face to, you know, go to sleep or what have you, or you need to turn it off to go do whatever you need to do. If you turn it back on, go back to Zelda 2, you're right back where you left off. I would call that a soft save state. This doesn't have active save states, so you can't, you know, save a singular point in time and go back to it. You can save by holding down the face buttons. In Zelda 1 and 2, it's in the pause menu. Get some nice quick saving. And I'm pretty sure in Link's Awakening, just do it whenever. In fact, I should, you know, go check. Yeah, you can just do it whenever. It's nice to have. And while no active save states might turn some people off, it really didn't bother me. I got accustomed to the lack of save states really quickly. I really did not miss having save states. I would have liked them alongside Rewind. They're, you know, modern. Well, you'd hope they'd be modern emulation features, Nintendo, but they're not something that I sorely missed. I was totally fine with that. No save states, no active save states, and no rewind. So you think that, you know, that might be it. And this is a cool device, nothing more. But it goes a little bit deeper than this. This is a surprisingly hard device to recommend. I've seen and watched a handful of reviews, and some people would say this is a very good stocking stuffer. And I would disagree. Because if you're a Zelda fan like me, or you're a collector, you already have this device. You got it day one, or you did what I did and pre-ordered it back in July. But if you're a new fan, you started with A Link Between Worlds or Breath of the Wild, or you just aren't a fan of Zelda 1 and 2 in particular, this device really isn't all that worth it. Which, it's a shame, because this is a very, very fun device. It's meant for the Zelda fan. It has little art when it's about to go to sleep. There's a famous Triforce on the back. If you hold down A, you get full hearts in all the games, and a handful of extra goodies depending on the game. And there's the almighty doing that for some reason on the clock face. There's a handful of really fun secrets in this. It's meant for the Zelda fan. But it works best for Zelda fans like myself, who can enjoy Zelda 1 and 2, and I guess Link's Awakening because of the remake. It's meant for collectors who like having this on their shelf propped up, showing the time, or, you know, just the device itself. Newer Zelda fans, or fans who, or players who can't get into any of these games, or at least Zelda 1 and 2 in particular, this just isn't worth it. It's a steep price for such a small little thing. I paid $55 for this, that's including, you know, shipping and all that. So for $55, you're getting 3 main games, and I guess counting the timer and clock face as one game, you get 2 mini games. And I can totally understand that isn't worth it for some people, especially when you can get more capable and more competitive emulation devices. Like, I don't know any off the top of my head, but there's a Pow Kitty or Retroid something. I'm not sure. But those have, you know, save states. Some of them might have rewind. I'm not entirely sure. They're more competitive devices. But once again, I'm repeating myself at this point. For Zelda fans like myself, and for the collector, this is a really cool device. But at this point, you probably already have it. I don't really have anything else to add, I don't think. So if you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Copy paste all the, stuff I have to add to even try to grow on YouTube, subscribe, all that whatnots. If you like this content, I've got more videos that are, less rambly and far more coherent. And I also have another video coming up. I don't know when, but it'll happen. Once again, if you want more, stick around for that. Other than that, thanks for watching.